everyone. This is Fire1520. So yeah, let's do some runs. We're gonna be playing Digimon 4. This game should be a 250-hour estimate, but if the run goes really bad, it can go to 3-hour, 305. If the run goes really good, aka World Record RNG, I can get a PB, like I did on one practice attempt. But let's hope. Oh, right. Just a second. Because in this PC, I use a custom pack of textures because I don't know. This PC I just really used to play the game and have a little bit of fun, so I make the game look a lot prettier. If you guys want, I can just put it back to make it look a bit better, but otherwise I'm just gonna go with vanilla. In the meantime, we're gonna be creating our Digimon. In this game, your name doesn't matter, so you should usually name yourself Kappa, because come on, like, why would you not? Or Debated, that works as well. But because this is a marathon, we're gonna have... my timer is probably, like, because I have my OBS set to use chroma key on no color. Don't worry, once I start, it's gonna show up. Or rather, I should just change the filter just a second. Filters, disable chroma key. Okay, so now you guys should be able to see it. I'm so sorry, I forgot. This was for this. I just quickly ghettoed this up. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm a professional speedrunner. I know what I'm doing. Let's see. Jon Snow. Oh my god, I went to the wrong place. Okay. Alright, fellas. This is gonna be it. Get ready because we're gonna start in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright. This is Digimon 4. If you've ever played another Digimon World game, just forget everything about it, because this game is quite unique, even for Digimon standards. So, you remember that it was a great show about, you know, a bunch of kids that had a bunch of pagers that they point at a bunch of animals and then they make the animals bigger and stronger? Yeah, forget all about that. There is not a single mention to humans in this game whatsoever. Like, they don't show up, no one ever mentions them, it's just a myth, okay? No humans. We are also not going to Digivolve because, you know, that's what Digimon do, they don't Digivolve. And probably the most glaring thing, we are carrying a dagger. And later on, we're gonna carry 2 swords. We're not gonna use claws to attack or any fancy techniques, no, it's just, you know, a bunch of weapons. So, this is probably exactly how you'd picture a Digimon game, and that's the reason why this game is considered the black sheep of the series. As for the story, nah, in theory it's based on the Digimon X movie, but in reality they just got a bunch of scenes from the movie, threw it in a trailer together and called it a day. It has no connection, and besides, the story is just potato anyway. We're gonna skip most of it, so don't worry. Stories for weeks. Like, speedrunners don't have time for that. Anyway, coming up here is the very first thing that we're gonna do in the game. It's the tutorial. Unfortunately, it's obligatory, we cannot skip it. However, we don't actually have to follow the instructions given. So we're gonna abuse that fact, and instead of poking enemies to death, which takes a while, we're gonna quickly pull up our MP technique menus and throw up the MP fire, which instantly kills these enemies, so that we can move on as fast as possible. Enemies in the tutorial can randomly drop items. The next one is an Ogremon, and that one is guaranteed to drop an MP Disc Alpha, but outside of that, everything else that drops here is completely random. So there's a bit of RNG in getting better items, or just getting items in general. So there's that. That Gaburimon at the very beginning dropped bits. It's kinda good. Not really, but it's kinda good. Here we're gonna do something a little bit different. Instead of using the MP straight away, we're gonna poke and then do the MP. The reason for that is this Numemon is a bit too strong for an MP technique to just kill in one shot. So and this game has a mechanic in which if you do too much damage at once, aka over half health, the enemies are sent flying, and as such, they go through a huge period of knockback and invincibility in which they just cannot, what's the name of it? They cannot be hit, and you have to wait for them to get back on their feet before you can hit them again. So instead, we do that little poke and then the MP technique to kill them as fast as possible. Here, we want to kill all of these enemies. You can see the knockback in action. It took me a while for me to kill that last Numemon. That's like the principle. Later on, this is going to be very important, like a very important thing in the run. But I'll explain once I get to it. Another good thing is that within each step of the tutorial, our mana is completely refilled, so we can spam the MP technique as much as possible. Let's see. So, okay, this is Death Valley. It's the first area of the game, like the real area of the game. And as the name would suggest, the very first thing that we're gonna do once we get here is actually suicide and die, because it's Death Valley. Kappa. No, but seriously, we are going to suicide and die. You might think that's like this is on purpose. I can just get over these enemies if I want, but I'm gonna die here because in this game. Okay. Let me just say this. This game is very well programmed, alright guys? It's very well coded. It's pristine programming right there. Because this game is extremely hard on its difficulty, it's like very unfair. You are going to die on the very couple first areas of the game. Like, it's just how it goes. And because of that, the developers never bothered to code the death tutorial message outside of the first couple of areas. So, if your first death happens later on in the run, you're going to soft lock the game because the message is not going to be there for the game to access it. In a world record attempt, a death would be so costly that you might as well just reset anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But in a marathon, we just do this little suicide to prevent further problems in the run dying. If everything goes according to plan, this is really only gonna cost me like 40 seconds, so it's not that big of a deal to just do that suicide. Let's hope that's what it happens. Let's see what else. Okay, right now I am supposed to do 2 dungeons to get 2 keys. Whoops, at least a little bit too early. I'm supposed to do 2 dungeons to get 2 keys and then unlock the next area, but that's actually a little bit boring. So instead, we're gonna come here, the first dungeon, and then jump and boom, we're out of bounds, let's go. 40 minutes of gameplay save right there. Yeah, there's not really much to say about it. Enjoy your 40-minute time save. It's like a very easy trick. It's not difficult to do at all. Just by looking at it, you can try to just reproduce this yourself. Like, just looking at it, give it a couple of tries, and I'm sure you can get it as well. The good thing about it, as I said, 40 minutes that we save. The bad thing about it is that we're gonna be extremely underleveled. The next area that we're gonna get, we're supposed to get here after doing 2 dungeons, getting equipment, getting levels, like being good at the game. But because we're not, we're gonna be at level 1. So there's a very likely chance that I'm gonna die here. Well, not very likely, but there's a high chance that I'm gonna die. So the suicide, like avoiding the suicide glitch is something good. You're gonna see me walking along the edges. That's to avoid the spawn zone so that I can get down here and get crates for potentially good items. Let's see, do we get something good? No. We only have 2 HP discs, that's not that great. Anyway, you see that I skipped that 1 crate, went to the spawn and then went back. That's because that crate triggers a second set of spawns. And if you spawn the second set without spawning the first one, the first set disappears entirely. Now, this doesn't soft lock the game just moves on as normal, just spawns the second set and that's it. But because we're gonna spend some time grinding, we want to load as many enemies per load screen as possible. So we do that. I'm gonna shut up for a little bit because I want to focus on this grind, and then I'm gonna explain a little bit more. Okay, so as you have seen from when I started grinding, and this last section in which I shut up, you would see that I started attacking a lot faster. In this game, if you just mash as fast as possible, you don't really attack, unless you're like frame perfect, you don't really attack to your best. So you kind of have to get a rhythm going in order to just be optimal. And that's a bit easier said than done. It's not very easy to do it while focusing on a marathon, on explaining. Especially given the fact that the last time I ran this game was 2 months ago. So let's go Rusty percent. There are a couple of points as to how much we're gonna grind. I'm gonna explain them later. For now, I'm just gonna keep hitting a couple of enemies. Enjoy the sound of poking Gaburimon. Oops. Okay, I could have very easily died there. I think I didn't mention, but this game has a block system in which you can block attacks and be completely invulnerable if you land it right. It's more of a counter rather than a block. It's like, ooh, this is getting dangerous. I'm gonna safety heal. Nice, another HP disc. I want to get as many items as possible because I'm gonna need a lot of money for the later section. So if I had gotten godlike RNG, I would be able to skip items, but this is not the case. And in fact, this is usually not the case, so... Alright, level up. I should also mention that level ups completely refuel your mana and your health. So that's... whoops, that's a good thing. YOLO, not gonna heal. Please don't spawn anything. Okay, nothing spawned. Alright, so as you can see, this took a little bit of a while. Each of these Gaburimons have 74 points of health, and we deal like, what, 5 in the first level? So, yeah, it takes and they block half the time, by the way. Actually, more than half the time. So, yeah, it takes a little while. Inherently, we are minus 40 seconds, because, as I said, there's the suicide glitch that I did at the very beginning. If we take those 40 seconds off, we did this before 10 minutes, it's kind of acceptable. You can do faster, but for a marathon, it's fine. Except, especially given the fact that I'm very, very rusty. You should probably change the title to Digimon for Rusty percent. Cap. Let's see, what else? Okay, so, oops, gonna safety heal again. Even though I'm probably getting a level up very soon, I'd rather do it safe and waste, like, a healing disc. Money is a very big problem in this run. So we kind of want to conserve as many items as we can. We don't want to really use any discs. But if needed, I guess we will do that. Anyway, as for how much we're gonna grind, there are a couple of things that we're looking for. The primary one, well, not the primary one, but like the bare minimum at which I absolutely cannot move away from, not even like going for a YOLO, is level 7 for reasons. So we're currently at 3, and we need 7. So you can make your maths and see that this is gonna take a while. It gets faster as we go because our damage increases, so we are able to kill these guys a little bit faster. But for the time being, level 7 is a good estimate. Like, a good point of reference. I'm doing this as slowly as possible because I'm rusty. Unintentional spin attack, let's go. Now the other thing that we need is proficiency. This game works on a proficiency-based system. Instead of going for like being able to equip better weaponry at better levels, at higher levels, you need skills like in a given type of weapon. There are different types. We're currently using the stab type, but there are others that are like axes and swords and stuff. And we want to level up the stab type in order to be able to buy a better, to equip a better weapon. Each time you see one of these tech up arrows, it means that our proficiency is going up, which is exactly what we want. Here you're gonna see a little trick. Before the door opened, I started preparing a charge attack and then released it. On a vacuum, the charge attack is the fastest form of movement, but because you have to spend some time still charging it up, it ends up being slower than just regular walking. However, if you are waiting for a door to open anyway, you might as well just charge an attack and get a little bit of extra move speed bonus. It doesn't really save that much time, but it's some free time save. You might as well take it whenever you can. You don't really lose anything for trying, so might as well. Okay, that's not very good. I'm not liking the items that I'm getting. That's fine. Anyway, as I was explaining, proficiency is... we're gonna need proficiency. Not only it allows for us to get better weaponry, it also allows us to... it increases our damage. I don't remember the exact formula on top of my head, but it's something like 20 proficiency points increase 1 damage in the context of a run. It's not really exact, that's a very rough approximation, but it should be enough, like, to get your guys going, kind of understand what's going on. In this run, I'm gonna need 210 to be able to buy the weapon, and that's in fact one of the things that we're gonna check. Once we get level 7, we're gonna check our proficiency and check how much more we need, because this game is capped at 30 points per level, so that's the math as to why we need level 7. We need those 210 proficiency points. Level 7 we can just check whenever we want. We just look at the corner of the screen and then we know if we have 7 or not. The proficiency, we're gonna have to spend some time going to the menus, pausing and looking it up. So that's why I don't bother looking right now. I just bother looking when I'm 7, because it's the point where I know the cap can be achieved. Before that, it's just a waste of time. Let's see, what else? I'm gonna explain items. Okay, I should have probably explained what I'm doing. I'm grinding in this pod because enemies here not only there are many of them, there are also those crates down at the bottom which give us free items. So we clean the room and then we get back and it respawns the enemies. Not every room is like that. In fact, most rooms don't in dungeons don't respawn enemies upon you going out, but this particular one does, and it's a very good place to grind. That's why we grind here. Okay, so I'm gonna do some measures to save time. I start walking towards the door, and while walking, I throw a couple of petit fires to kill enemies from afar and save a little bit of time, instead of just staying there and poking them to death. I should probably not do this, because if they drop items, I definitely want to get them. But, you know, let's try to save a little bit of time. Let's try to go for the YOLO strats. Remember, kids, YOLO always pays off. Okay, so far I had not gotten the item that I want. I should probably explain about items. As I've been saying, we're gonna be needing a better weapon, and to buy a better weapon, you need money. The thing is that this game has a system in which weapons and armor pieces can have something called mod slots. Think of it as a rune stone or something. It's just a slot that you can put a chip that gives you special abilities. So for instance, you can equip a fire chip to a weapon, and then it's gonna have fire properties. You can equip lifesteal, you can equip increased speed, increased wisdom, and stuff like that. And as you expect from such kind of description, these are very desirable effects, and we definitely want them in a speedrun. The problem is that getting a weapon with mods costs a lot more than if we were to get the very same weapon but with no mods at all. So we're gonna need more money than we usually do. And the way we're gonna do that is actually RNG. We're gonna be getting items from these guys, and we're gonna hope that one of these actually has mods, because just like it costs a lot more to buy, when you try to sell those weapons, they also are worth a lot more, and thus you can get more money than usual if you get a modded weapon. And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pray that we get a random drop that has mods, and then we're gonna sell it, and then buy the right weapon with the right mods. That's like, if that sounds RNG, yeah, it is. Over half the runs die right here. Actually, more than half the runs. Like, 3/4 of the run of world record attempts die here because you didn't get the proper RNG to start. It's not as if you couldn't finish the game, that's not it. But you just end up finishing it a lot slower. And obviously, if you want to go for world record, you just don't have much of a choice. You just have to reset. Which is a shame, because this comes right after a 25 to 30 minute grind section. But what can you do? Drop items, no. Okay, because the door didn't open, I know that there's one more enemy somewhere here. Normally I'm supposed to get these, but I messed up a little bit and left one alive, that's fine. Just kill it on the way back. You use some audio cues to know what you're doing. Later on, you're gonna use audio cues more than visual cues to know when enemies spawn and when they're not. In fact, I'm actually doing this right now, and I can keep listening to when enemies stop spawning, and when they do, I know it's time to start heading towards the door. But yeah, that's about it for the grinding section, I guess. If you guys want to ask questions, feel free. We have about 5 or 6 more minutes of grinding, depending on RNG. Oopsie. There's probably a couple more enemies down at the bottom. I'm gonna move there just to lure them up, if they're actually there. And yes, they were. I don't know how many were there though. I'm assuming 2 because that's what usually happens. No, 3, never mind. I'm good at this game. Let's see. It should take only one more section in this room right here. And then and then we're gonna move on to the next run and kill more enemies. That's like surprise. Okay, still no good luck. I'm looking for one specific item, by the way, which is actually pretty rare to get. And if I got it, I would be flipping out right now, but not the case. Yeah, they make some weird noises in this game. Right now, I'm using the quote-unquote baby/child Digimon, small Digimon, like call it however you want. But if I was using one of the evolutions, which this game does have, but we're not gonna use, it would make a much louder noise, like or something like that. It was probably a very bad impression. And you can feel the cringe. Haha. But yeah. Okay, level 7. We have reached like the minimum level. So now we're gonna pray for as many of those stack up arrows as we can. Judging by my damage, I would say we're kind of fine. I was distracted. I got distracted because someone came to my room. Wanted to talk to me, but I said no. Speedrun is more important. Kappa. Alright, so because we're gonna have to kill these enemies anyway, I'm gonna kill them first and then I'm gonna look at my items and decide what I'm gonna do next. The reason for that is these enemies themselves can drop items and potentially change the outcome of my decision. So I'm gonna start with them. Yo, we're actually not that great on items. Okay. Right, now I look at my items. This is no good. Okay, this is very, very bad. We didn't get the necessary stuff. So we're gonna do an extra grind pass. Normally I wouldn't do this. In fact, if this was a world record attempt... Oh my god. Just a second. God damn it. Speedrunning is hard. Okay. I think my microphone is down. As I said, we didn't get the necessary items, so we're gonna do another grind, like another pass in this grind to try and potentially get what we need. Normally this would be a reset right here, if I was going for record attempts, because we didn't get the necessary RNG. And actually, in the world record attempt, I don't even check here. I just YOLO and assume that I got what I needed, and then later on I end up checking it. If I get it, it saves like about 15 to 20 seconds of menuing, which is good. If not, if I don't get it, it just wastes about 4 minutes of my life or something like that. So, yeah. What can you do? Now, I'm gonna look at my items again and pray. Oh, god damn it, for fuck's sakes. Okay, this is really, really bad. Okay, so we have a small problem that apparently I left cheat codes on because I came totally prepared for this marathon, by the way. So now we have a 1500 blast stack, but that's fine. We're never gonna use the blast stack anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Let's go. I declare this speedrun 100% valid. Don't talk about it. I know what I'm doing. Normally I wouldn't kill these enemies right here. But because we need items, we're gonna do that. On the way up. Oh jeez, this is so funny. Ah, I died. Okay, never mind. Okay. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. I got this. Okay? I got this. I'm a professional speedrunner. You might want to increase that estimate a little bit. Do I have erased this? Yes, I do. You definitely want to increase that estimate by a couple of minutes. Like, if I made it to the end of the dungeon at 30 minutes, I would have found this kind of bad, but okay, I would take it. But you might want to increase the estimate a little bit. So, how are you guys doing? Having fun? I hope so. Good thing that we suicided, right? Totally prepared. I died at roughly 30. We're gonna have to do the out of bounds again, and we're gonna have to do that grind section again, because as I said, each time you enter that room, you have to, the enemies respawn. On the flip side, these are gonna be, what's the name? On the flip side, we're gonna have another shot at getting good items and potentially saving the run. If I can save the run, like, if I get godlike RNG right now, and I get all the money that I want, it's gonna make up for the time loss. If not, well, let's not talk about it, okay? There's gonna be a second grinding section later on, so getting extra XP here, it's not too terribly bad, because it's just less time that you spend grinding later on, so it's kind of fine, but you'd much rather grind later, because you get a lot more experience for your time. Oh well. As for overestimate, my PB on emulator is unofficially 234, with 238 being the official PB. My estimate is 250. If the run goes decently, if the run goes bad, 3 hours, and it can even pass a little bit after that. Yeah, I should mention this. In this game, when you die, you lose a little bit of experience. It's not that much. And you lose all your money. Like, every piece of it is lost. It's not completely gone, however. You might have seen that after I died, a red crystal orb thingy spawned where I died. That's a backup chip. If you go up there and use a raise disc, you can recover all your money and the XP that you lost. So it's not all like too terribly bad. And that's why I check my menus before my items before going back to the grinding section to this place. Because if I did not have a raise disc, I would have gone to the shop, sold something, and bought a raise disc so that I could recover all the money that I lost. This was not the case though. That was not needed. I don't want to die again. I am going to safety heal and pray for an item. Okay, no items, that's fine. Don't worry guys, we're not wasting like 4 minutes. I mean, I guess it's not that much because we do grind a little bit more, but yeah, don't worry. Now this room right here doesn't respawn enemies, and I think the enemies on the next session do, question mark. Yeah, they do respawn, but that's like whatever. I should also mention that these crates right here take 5 hits to kill, so instead we use a charge attack that has the property of instantly destroying objects from afar. In fact, we're gonna combine both the move speed from the charge attack and the fact that it kills stuff in 1 hit to try to get some bonuses. So like right here, I do 1 attack and then charge from afar to get this little crate and then get the move speed bonus. And right here, I know that a crate is coming, so I stop right here, I charge an attack from afar and then do it so that I get both, the best of both worlds. Like, again, it doesn't save that much time, but every little bit counts. So you might as well take it. I forgot this one crate right here. That's fine. And then there's another one coming on the intersection. Right here. So again, charge from afar. Go here. Go here. Normally there would be a lot of enemies spawning, but because there's a cap on how many enemies can be like loaded at once, the game just stops spawning the enemies until you kill them and free up more space. But because we're not killing anything, we can just do that unattended. Right, coming up is the first boss of the run. Actually, it's the third boss of the game, but you know, we skipped the other 2 dungeons, so yeah, there's that. So whoops, I messed up. Very, very bad. That's fine. Okay, that was a boss. Supposedly, you get up to it, and then you just unlock it right at this bridge right here before it spawns. So, yeah, the fight didn't go as expected, but that's fine. It was the boss, by the way. So, story time. A team was sent to investigate this area that we're in, and obviously, Chief Leomon was in charge of the team. But the team disappeared, and now we were sent to find them and rescue them, and we just found Chief Leomon, which is great. But we didn't find the rest of the team. So now Fanimon is like, okay, get this key, go to a boat, save them. And that's what we're gonna be doing to advance the plot. By the way, this game is non-canon because Leomon does not die in the end. It almost dies, but we save him, so it's non-canon. Right. But before we do that little boat section that I forgot that I talked about, We're gonna come up another part of the run. This is called reset. The reason for that is, as I've explained like 15 minutes ago, no, 10 minutes ago, I don't actually check my items, I just YOLO them, and I check them right here. So I would reset right here if if I didn't get the things. The other thing is that we're gonna have to reset this area a couple of times to get something we want, but I'll explain that in just a second. For now, I'm gonna sell everything and hope that one of the items that I got later on was actually good. No, it wasn't. Okay, we're in a very bad spot. What should I do? Sell discs. We're gonna sell the booster pack because we don't really have a use for it. We're gonna sell the gate disc because we don't have a use for it. We're gonna YOLO all but one disc, and we're gonna sell. Okay. This is very non-optimal, but I have to sell my organs for money. I don't have a choice. So right, we're gonna buy a thunder chip. If we were good on items, we could have bought some more. We would normally buy an armor piece and a sub slot, which is like an extra thing for stats, but we don't have the money. So now we're gonna buy a weapon. Nice for stride. Wait, what? Oh, right. Sell disc for the... Okay. Buy a weapon. No, don't buy this. Okay, so the reason why I said this section is usually reset is because each item on the list, like the list of items depends entirely on like the Digimon you are and the level. However, for each individual item on that list, there's an individual chance for it to have mods or not. So usually what you want is to just go to the area and then boom, there's your weapon. But sometimes the game decides to be, you know, a bit mean to you, and it doesn't give you an item with mods straight away. When that happens, well, you have to go out of the area. Is this correct? Yes, this is correct. You have to go out of the area and then go back in to re-roll the list. And you have to do this as many times as needed until you can get something that has mods, and buy something that has mods that only has one or two, so that you can actually afford it. In this run, I got first try weapon, which is good, it saves time. In my PB, I had to reset, I think, once or twice. I think it was twice, so that's a bit of a time saving my PB. And sometimes the game can just be, you know, RNG, and you lose, like, you do 12 tries and it doesn't give you the item, and then you just lost 7 minutes because RNG. So yeah, luckily we got it. What else? Although we didn't get the other thing that we need, so that's kind of bad. I'm gonna change my strats a little bit as far as my equipment gear and what I do in order to mitigate problems. Anyway, this is our new weapon. Enjoy the double rapier. It is broken. Let me just say that. We're most likely not gonna switch weapons for the rest of the game. If we get super good RNG, I might, but don't count on it. The double rapier has the following properties. One, it attacks as fast as the stab dagger, because like the stab dagger, which was the thing that we were using before, is absolute garbage. Like, it attacks really fast, but the damage is abysmal, and the hit range is absolutely awful. Like, it takes, if you're not used to it, it's absolutely terrible to hit enemies with it. It took me a while to get used to the thing. The stab dagger, however, fixes that. It doesn't have as high of a damage, like raw damage, as something like an axe, but it does have very high damage, like much better than the stab dagger. It attacks just as fast, it hits twice per swing, and it hits all the way in front of you. Like, it has long reach and high radius, like big radius. So it's the perfect weapon for speedrun. Oops. You're gonna see that my damage just skyrocketed, not only from the weapon itself, but from the chip that I got from the chip. Normally I wouldn't destroy all of these crates, I would only destroy 2 so that I could get past them. But because we need items for the coming sections, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try to... Okay, this is by the way the first boss, the first dungeon. Fuck, I died, what the hell? Also, sorry for swearing, but it got me unprepared, that's fine though. RNG. RNG, guys. Like, this is what happens when you don't have the proper equipment. Like, you try to do things, but they kind of don't work. It's fine, though. We're gonna go for some backup plans. Don't worry, time loss. But that estimate at 310 Kappa. Let's see. I'm so glad I did the suicide thing. Right, so we have 1 raise disc, that's enough. If we did not have a raise disc, up on this here right here, there are 2 crates which have 90% chance of dropping a raise disc and 10%... No, wait, 90%? No, never mind. It's like 90% for a gate disc and 10% for a raise disc. So if I had none, I could just go there and pray for raise disc. If not, it's fine. We didn't really lose that much because we already wasted all of our money. On the flip side, I got an armor piece. It's not the armor piece that I wanted. I should have equipped it before the fight, by the way, but I decided to just YOLO it because right after the fight, we're gonna have to enter the menus anyway, so I decided, let's try to YOLO, but nope, did not work out this time around. It's fine though. Professional speedrunner, guys. Professional speedrunner. By the way, I'm supposed to be done with the next dungeon already. On the flip side, we can do more of these crates. Ooh, another cipher core. Thanks, game. Just throw it in my face. Okay. Oh, right, I already equipped it because I'm so good at this game. This time around, we're probably not gonna die. There is a strat for this guy. There you go, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, it's dead. But it requires proper weaponry so that we can reach the proper damage values. Gonna heal because I don't want to die again. Like, if I had the proper equipment, he would have been dead right now. YOLO, charge attack, let's go. We're gonna stay here because it sometimes drops items, but just because I waited instead of doing the charge attack, the game decided to not drop an item because thanks game, I love you a lot. And by the way, by the next section, if we didn't get the items that we needed to buy previously, just like we did, which is the case of this run, we're gonna have to buy them by the next point. So I'm gonna try to be picking up items, even though I normally wouldn't, just to try to get that magical money value. Okay, so right here, this is an auto-scroller. I'm gonna explain a little bit more about it in a second. Because right now I have to focus a little bit. Otherwise it runs over. Okay, so the deal with this auto-scroller is, it's supposedly a mini-game. Remember that I said that, like, a team was sent to investigate, but then went missing, and then we saved Chief Leomon, and then we have to save the rest of the team? This is what this mini-game is supposed to be. You have to save 10 Digi-Elves. You don't, like, actually have to save them in casual playthrough, you just have to get to the end. Because, the only thing that they do is unlock side quests, so you don't actually have to. But in the contest of a speedrun, we're gonna need one very specific side quest, so we're gonna have to save one very specific Digi-Elf, which just so happens to be the very first one. There's also an out of bounds here, in the last curve that you could do, And if you do, you get out of the boat and then you can head straight to the exit, and it saves like 2 minutes, I think. But it's like probably frame perfect and pixel perfect or something like that, and I don't actually know how to do it. I know it is possible and I've done it myself, but I don't have a setup for it. I tried and I failed, so whatever. So yeah, I guess that's that. If we had not saved that one Digi-Elf at the beginning, we do have a backup plan, because there are actually 2 that we can save. Thing is, however, I don't actually know what the backup plan is. I know that it exists, and it's on the second part of the river, which is around here, but I don't know which one of them it is. So, it would have been pretty fun, like, have a backup, but don't have a backup. It's like professional speedrunning right here. In the meantime, we might also try and kill a couple of Numemons for extra experience. It's really marginal the amount that they give, but given that this is an auto-scroller and we don't really have anything better to do, we might as well just try, right? Maybe it was that one. I don't know. In this part right here, stay in front of the boat, because if you stay in the back, it takes 1 second longer for you to hit the trigger. So you just save like, actually not, maybe not even a second. Yeah, probably a second. So stay in the front, so that you can hit it as fast as possible. Anyway, right. So here, if I had the proper equipment, I would have changed my gear right now, but because we don't, we're just gonna keep what we have. Block, block, block. Whoops, I messed up because I'm a professional speedrunner. You can see that my damage is really high. And you can also see that whenever I hit an enemy, they go flying and I have to wait for them to get back before moving on. Now, if I had the proper gear, what I would do is intentionally lower my damage exactly for exactly for that reason. We would just come on, hitboxes. We would lower the damage so that we would kill enemies in 3 hits instead of 2, and that would end up being faster. But because I don't have the proper gear, if I was to do that, enemies would just block way too much, and it would be kind of hard to hit. And if they hit me, it would be bad because I don't have like proper gear. So instead, we're going to take a little bit of a slower route and more safer one, and go for 2-hit kills and make sure that no enemies are going to hit us. And that's gonna waste time, but like, it's you don't really have much of a choice. Like right now, I could be done with those enemies already if I had proper gear. And that's why like money is so important, to buy the stuff, to actually manipulate your stats, to make sure to hit those magical damage numbers. We actually have damage formulas for this game, and we can precisely calculate, okay, I want to get this item in order to be able to do this much damage to an enemy. Or maybe you should get this other one and unequip this other thing, and then you can just manipulate your stats at will. We can calculate all of those values. Everything is already pre-done. Normally I would have a Beast Board Alpha, a Speed Chip, and a Brave Core. I don't have a Speed Chip. I don't have a Beast Board, or any board for that matter, and even though I have a Brave, I do have a core. It's a Cypher Core rather than the Brave Core. So yeah, it's like, what can you do about it? You don't really notice too much the time save from getting like better items on its own, but over the course of the run, if you compare your splits, like within every split you'll be saving a minute, maybe 2. Depends on how big the split is, but you'd be saving time within each split, and then you'd realize how much good gear matters. Because right now I'm very safe, but I'm not doing it fast. That is an armor piece. I'm gonna get that because armor pieces are worth a lot of money. Safety heal. I'm gonna get that because it's gonna disappear soon. It's a cipher core. What a shame. If I had not gotten an armor piece, these enemies right here have a high chance to drop something. And some enemies later on can only drop armor. So, there are backup plans if you couldn't get it early on or couldn't buy it. Obviously, we don't really, like, if a Brave Core drops, I'm gonna swap it because that's the one we actually want. But if it doesn't, you do have that backup Cipher Core. To just, or maybe potentially even an Element Core to just get you by. As kind of a backup plan. Again, in the world record attempt, that wouldn't be a problem. You would have all the items that you want anyway, but for a marathon, it's good to have some plan Bs. Again, I wouldn't destroy this crate, but because I need money and items, I am going to do it. There are actually 2 more over up at the top, but it's not really worth going for them. You'd much rather have an enemy drop an item. Right, so these Ogremon right here, usually you can get past them, like so. But sometimes they can just move in weird patterns. And then you're like, oh well. Reminded that we are 1 level ahead of what we're supposed to. These enemies right here can drop boards, and they just drop Beast Board, which is exactly what we want. Remember that thing about Plan Bs? Yeah, that's it. We just saved 1,000 money, actually 1,040, by getting the Beast Board. I'm not. Do I want to equip it now? Question mark. Question mark. Thinking emoji. Yeah, I want to equip it now. We're gonna go to the menus and we're gonna change our gear. Usually you can get past that Ogremon, but it didn't want today, so fine. Let's take that second time loss. Sub-slot. Beast Board, okay. And now we're gonna purposefully remove our Thunder Chip. We're gonna decrease our damage, but that's fine because now it's gonna allow us to 3-hit kill. And you guys are maybe going to realize how much faster this is. Boom, they're dead. I don't have to wait for them to get back on their feet, except that I spread them up and messed this a little bit. It's fine. Come on. Yeah, the speed chip really makes a difference here. As well as the Brave Core, because the armor piece that we have right now basically increases our mana casting abilities. Whereas the one we want increases our defense, like, they all increases our defenses, but like, it mostly increases our physical defense and increases speed a little bit, so it makes it easier for us to hit enemies and to trigger the auto block. In fact, speed is gonna play a very big role later on. Not now, but in about 1 hour? Question mark? It's gonna play a very big role. Cipher Core again, that's a shame. platforming section. If you fall down here, you just get reduced, respawned at the other side, as in the side that you started, with 1 HP. Now keep moving back because enemies are gonna spawn at the back and you have to kill them in order to unlock the final door of the dungeon. Like, see how much faster Ogremon fights go when you have a beast board. And if I had the speed chip, it would go even faster. Okay, now switch. Get back the Thunder chip because we're gonna be fighting a big boss, and that boss is weak to lightning. That boss is actually, we're not gonna do the intended way. It has 2 phases. The first one, it has 3 attacks. It has a chain attack, that's good, that's what we want. It has a spin and flame attack. That's not that great, but it's fine. And then it has a freeze attack, which is absolutely bad, and we have to block. And depending on audio and visual cues, I can predict what he's gonna do before he does it. Okay, so normally you're supposed to destroy all of these balls, and then he would free up and do a lot of nasty attacks, but we have another plan instead. No! I messed up. Sorry for not being able to explain this a bit earlier, but it's like you kind of have to focus on this boss a little bit. It's not that easy. Like if you mess up, it can easily kill you. But like the strat is just destroy those balls, and it unlocks those 2 electric panels, and then you can alternate between them and avoid getting hit while he's still stuck to the middle of the platform. The good thing about it is that because he doesn't move, you know exactly where he's gonna be, so you can just work around it. The bad thing about it is that you have to juggle between the platforms, and not only that has the bad advantage of you being able to easily mess up and not get as many hits as possible, there's the thing in which each time you attack it, it resets its pattern, so it does 1 attack randomly. And the thing is that what's the name? The thing is that each time he resets the pattern, he could potentially do the freeze attack, and that's really very, very bad. So you have to do some, like, you have to mix in between juggling and still attacking as fast as possible. What the hell is she doing? Just a second, guys. Okay, so very bad things happening. Family doesn't want to let me speedrun today. My RNG is particularly bad. Okay, so as I was explaining, you have to do like stuff and juggle between them, and it can easily mess up. It's not like it's a easy fight, but it's not that consistent. Anyway, story time. We saved Chief Leomon, we saved the Digi-Elves, just one of them, but we saved the Digi-Elves. And now we destroyed one of their leaders, and then we talked to the commanders like, hooray! good job. And we're like, kudos on the back. And then, out of nowhere, the virus goes like, rawr. And then the commander goes like, oh no, we're under attack. And the virus goes, rawr. So now we have to defend ourselves. Basically, you just have to go to a bunch of places, trigger a bunch of switches. I'm gonna buy a couple of the... No? How much do I need? I need this, I need this. I need 1600. So I can only buy 5. Yes, that's right. Okay. Again, we don't have the money that we really need, but we got some lucky items, so that's fine. I'm supposed to have the speed chip already, and possibly the dog chip as well, but I didn't, so I'm gonna buy them now. Anyway, all you have to do is just come here, activate this console, and what it does, it unlocks this place, and then we can come here. There's a potential glitch here in which the music stops. I don't know what causes it, I just know it happens. It doesn't save time trying to get it, it doesn't waste time either, so let's try and hope that we get it. No, okay. If you get the glitch, the music in this cutscene stops, only the sound effects play, and it's kind of funny. Like, I know we're not supposed to have fun in a speedrun, especially given that this is a marathon, and this run is like really, really bad. But, you know, we're cool. Right, we protected ourselves, and now, but this is only a temporary measure. We have to go investigate a place called Dryland, which apparently is producing mass quantities of the X virus. And if we can stop them from reproducing themselves, that's gonna be good, because, well, we're not gonna have to fight as many enemies. Or at least that's the plan. But that is the last piece of story that we're ever gonna see. We're not gonna talk anymore about story. Spoilers, we're gonna skip a couple of stuff. And here, say hello to the second area of the game, Dryland. Yeah, Dryland. We're gonna spend some time grinding here. I'm gonna explain a couple of stuff. But if you need a break from the marathon, say that you want to take a shower, you want to go get dinner or lunch or whatever, you want to do grocery, if you need some time, this next grinding section is going to take roughly 50 minutes? Yeah, it's going to take around 50 minutes. So, you can take a break right here. I'm going to explain a couple of points about this grind, and then you guys can just take a break if needed. Anyway, the reason why we're going to grind here is actually not in this particular place. It's on the next area within Dryland. The reason for that, it's gonna become very apparent very soon. I just need to get there, and and you guys are probably gonna be able to figure out yourselves. Yeah, 15 minutes of grind. Like, I know it sounds bad, but don't worry, it's not as bad as the first section, because we're gonna kill enemies at a much faster rate. And I find the music a little bit better, so... E-Magnum's good. Mind your items. Oh, right. So we're supposed to change our equipment right here. We're gonna put the dark chip, and the reason for that is the same as before. We want to purposefully lower our damage so that we 3-hit kill enemies instead of going for 2-hit kills. That's about it. And the reason why I want to grind here is that so long as this tower stays up, enemies are going to keep spawning up to a cap of 120 of them. And as you might expect, this saves time on loading screens and makes sure that there's always an enemy near us that we can immediately kill to try and get experience as fast as possible instead of having to go run around getting items. Like, whoops, almost died there. Professional speedrunner. Now, the other reason why this place is very good for grinding is that enemies here are worth 51 points of experience. If you remember the goblins back there, they were worth 32 points of experience. So just by killing enemies, which we kill pretty much just as fast, actually even faster, we get more experience. Like, it's really good. And there's also another reason to grind in this particular spot, but I'm gonna explain it later once I actually get to that point. It's gonna take maybe 3 minutes before I can explain it. Okay, why don't I want to hit kill people? This game has a mechanic. I explained this way back in the tutorial like 1 hour ago, but this game has a mechanic in which if you deal over half of an enemy's HP, max HP, in a single blow, and that if that happens, they go through a huge period of knockback in which they're sent flying. They like stay down on the ground for a little while, and then they have to recover themselves before you can hit them again. So, like, it wastes a lot of time waiting for them to be able to, like, they get a lot of iframes from that. So instead, we want to do 3 hit kills so that we can go 1-2, 1-2, they're dead. Instead of 1, wait a little bit, okay, now we can kill. 1-2, 1-2, it's dead. Right now, they're not dying as fast because they're blocking many hits, but as the grind, like, progresses, we're gonna increase our speed, and thus, we're gonna be able to select 1-2, 1-2, dead. That's why we don't want a 2-hit kill. That mechanic also plays, like, a hole later on. I'm trying to do a reroute that's based exactly on that, and it cuts the grinding section by, like, maybe 3 or 4 minutes. I'm not exactly sure. But that route is not ready yet, so for the time being, we're using the old route. But yeah, another cool thing about that mechanic is that it applies not only to enemies, it also applies to yourself. So, if they deal too strong of a hit on you, like if they deal over half your HP, you go through a huge period of knockback in which you get invincible, and after you get back on your feet, you have roughly a second and a half of invincibility for you to use healing items and such. So it's actually a good thing for you as well. But when talking about enemies, you obviously don't want to do that because you want to hit them as fast as possible, to kill them as fast as possible, and being able to move on as fast as possible. In fact, once we get to level 13, we're going to change our gear again, because by level 13, the current equipment is going to be too strong, and we're on average going to do... Oh fuck, I died again. Also, I'm sorry for the swearing. I'm so sorry. But I'm very tilted right now. Don't worry guys, professional speedrunner. Do we have a raise disc? Yes, we do. No, I went... Oh, I'm making all the mistakes, guys. Don't worry. Don't worry. Bump the estimate to 310. Let's go. I am very much behind, by the way. Do I have a gate disc? Yes, I do. Oh boy, that's what happens when when you don't play the game for like for 2 months. 2 months? Yeah, 2 months. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional speedrunner. Dry land, let's go. Yeah. Profession. I actually realized I had way too little health, but as a player, I have very slow reflexes. That's just a trait of mine. Like, I'm very slow to react to things. So by the time I reacted and realized, okay, I need to heal, it was already too late. I was already doing another swing, and an enemy hit me. So, hello guys. This is Fire1520, world record holder for this game. Granted, I'm really the only one that has a time in the leaderboards outside of a 20-hour meme run. But ending is nice. You know what? Should I do this? I'm gonna heal for safety because I don't want to die again. Jesus! Do I have a brave core already? Okay, so another thing that's gonna happen in this grinding section is that not only we want to grind for levels, we want to grind up until level 22, by the way. We're also gonna grind for money, and the good thing about this place is that enemies here can only drop armor pieces, and they're worth roughly 300 a pop. There are some that are worth more, but roughly 300 per item, which is like a really good amount of money, all things considered. Now, again, I'm gonna need items to buy more stuff, but you may realize that even though I said that I'm gonna need items, because I'm gonna need a lot of money, I am not going and actively picking them up. The reason for that is, because we're gonna spend so much time in here, by the end, we're eventually gonna have a full inventory. There's a limit as to how many items we can carry at once. So it's really not worth to spend a second going to get an item, because eventually you're just gonna be moving to kill an enemy, and while moving there, an item is going to be on your way, so you're not gonna waste time picking it up. And you just trust that eventually you're gonna fill up your inventory like that. And by doing so, you end up saving a little bit of time. You don't really notice it, but again, over the course of doing it, for the 50 or so items that we can carry, you end up saving time. I'm gonna swap my speed chip here. Let's go. I don't have the Brave Core yet, which is bad. I mean, it doesn't matter because by the end of the section, I'm gonna sell my Brave Core anyway. But, normally you'd have it by now. Brave Core, as I said before, is the only armor piece that increases your speed and thus makes it easier for you to hit enemies. So that's why we want it. It's not really for the defensive prowess. Yes, it does increase your HP a little bit, but we really want it for the speed. Level 13. 9 more levels to go. So it may seem like I'm randomly just killing enemies, but that's not the case. I'm actually actively paying attention. Well, in theory, I'm paying attention. As I said, I have already died 4 times, and went to the wrong place. But I'm looking at the enemies, and as I hit one enemy, I'm thinking, okay, which is the next one that I should go? Like, which is the one that's closest to me? Which is the one that has the lowest health and thus I should kill first? Like, I'm actively always looking for that to try and take as much time as possible in the right section. Double axe is good, I'm gonna get it. Right here, it's the other reason why this spot is so good. At level 12, we get a technique called the Petit Power Down. It's a debuff technique that makes it so that enemies have less defense, so that you deal more damage, and they have less attack, so that you don't take as much. And as you might expect, this is really good of a debuff technique to have, and in fact, it's the sole reason why we picked Gilmon. So at level 12, you get this technique, but it's actually pretty weak. It realistically only increases like damage by like 10%, which is not really that much. Actually, even less than 10%. However, we are going to be spamming on enemies to train that technique and level it up to the Mega version. Because once we do, it's gonna get much stronger, and then it's gonna make sense as to why we picked Gilmon out of all Digimon. And this is the reason why this place is so good. Because, in this spot, 11 enemies spawn at once, so that you can use your debuff on 11 different enemies at the same time. And not only that, you have, as I said, the infinite spawning enemies, and you conveniently have a spot right here, which is the next dungeon, that you can quickly enter and exit, so that you can respawn the cap of enemies. Once you kill those 11 enemies, you can just go to the dungeon, in and out, and then boom, you can spawn them again and use the debuff on them again. I'm gonna do some more loadings. My experience route is completely screwed up. I normally have a feel as to what I'm supposed to do, but because not only I died a couple of times, I also grinded much more than I was ever supposed to. My experience is completely messed up. So I'm gonna try to do a couple extra load zones to try and fix that, and put it and put me where I'm supposed to be. Brave Core is good, Brand Blade is good. When getting those items, I am checking to see whether they are worth getting, or if they're worth a little amount of money, and thus I should save the spot for a more valuable item. That's actually another thing that makes sure that we have all the items that we need, because we have those crates that always drop something, and then you can pick that something to fill up your slot. Okay, so as you can see, we're roughly increasing our damage by like 40% already. Just by leveling up the technique a little bit. But it's gonna get a lot better. Trust me. By the way, just like weapons work on a proficiency-based system, MP technique also have the same proficiency, like, mechanics. They obviously do have separate stats. The power down technique works on the force stat. And we do have a formula to calculate how much we reduce an enemy's defenses, given a given amount of proficiency that you have. So we can actually know how strong our technique is going to be once we level it up. Okay, I just used a button which is like emergency heal. It immediately uses your strongest healing disc. That's like for clutch moments that you feel like you're about to die and you don't think you're gonna have time to pull up the menus. Just spam that button as fast as you can, and it's gonna heal you. I accidentally pressed that, which is like fine, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, that's good point, Nick. That's exactly the reason why I'm running this. I like marathons in which you can submit like 1 or 2 weeks in advance, or in this case like a couple of hours in advance, because I usually don't know my schedule with like too much headroom. So these kinds of marathons in which you can submit rather late is pretty good for me. That's why I run. That's why I decided to run this. I had some free time, and well, I'll try it. And so it also gives me a motif to just play the game, because for a while now I've not been actively doing runs. I've been doing what my viewers call science, in which I just research about the game, get values and try to figure out formulas and stuff to try and create tools to do better routing, or just do routing itself. And the last couple of times I played this game, it was all routing. It was not a run. So having a marathon gives me like a reason to just try and play this game in a run, which I might not have done otherwise. And it's also good. Maybe someone wants to join. Maybe someone gets interested in the game and decides to join. I don't think that's gonna happen, given that I've died a bajillion times, and this game is like half an hour grind, like 25-minute grind section, then 50-minute grind section. But just in case someone actually wants to hop in and try to learn this game, hey, feel free. And speaking of free, world record is absolutely free, by the way. If you have a Wii... Oh crap, I got distracted. Okay, time lost. 2-minute time lost, guys, don't worry. Is that it? Okay, that's it. Okay, so remember that I said in the beginning of the grind section that there's a cap on how many enemies can spawn, and that cap is 120. What I was supposed to do was pay attention to that cap, and once the tower is about to run dry, refresh the area. But I messed up because I was talking to you guys, and because I'm 100% prepared and a good speedrunner. So, free 2-minute time loss. In order to respawn that tower, we're gonna have to save the game, quit the game, reload the game. And then walk all the way back. Record over, I don't know what this says. Done saving, return to the end the game. Don't worry guys, I'm a professional speedrunner. I know what I'm doing, I swear. Don't worry, I just made the grind section bigger. That's a shame too. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, as I was saying, world record is absolutely free, by the way. If you have a Wii, you can just pick this game and get a world record, because the one that I have is a 255, but it uses slightly outdated strats, or rather it doesn't have all the optimizations built into it. To put it in perspective, running on console, it's like... okay, running on emulator is roughly 2 minutes and 50 seconds faster than running on console, because emulator is so much better. My emulator PB is a 234, so let's assume that you go for 3 minutes. That's a 237 on console times, and the actual console time that I have is 255 because I don't play on the Wii. So world record is absolutely free, guys. You just have to pick this up. But emulator is better. It is faster. That's an ongoing joke. The only player for this game runs on emulator. So because I'm the only one that really plays it and found out the strats, I really don't care what other people say. I'm gonna play on whatever I think is the fastest, and the fastest is emulator, and I have proven that. So it's pretty much deal with it. I understand people wanting to play on real hardware, but I disagree. If it's faster on emulator because it reduces loading, let's play emulator. Now don't get me wrong, if console is even faster than emulator, say for instance there's a re-release on a more superior console that ends up being faster, a good example of this is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon and the Wii Virtual Console. They're even faster than emulator, then by all means, play on console, it is faster. But if emulator ends up being faster, that's like my personal train of thought, is go for emulator. I should have probably mentioned that before I submitted the game, but no one really cares. The run is bad anyway. Okay, think of it like this. If we were playing PS2 version, we would have 25 seconds load times. With GameCube version, I think it played on a Wii. I've tested it and I think you have 8-second load times. I don't remember on top of my head the exact numbers, but I've made some tests on it. Emulator, I think it's 6. By the end of the run, a world record attempt, I've timed it out. It's roughly it's actually a little bit less than 2 minutes and 15 seconds, but just for convenience, just add 3 minutes to emulator time, and you can kind of compare times between them. And this run is gonna go more than that because it did a bajillion loads, because this one is super bad. I should probably talk about version differences. There are 3 versions for this game. There's PS2, GameCube, and Xbox. The PS2 has 25-second load times, as I just said, so that's a big no-no. Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of my viewers say that. Exactly. Let's just agree to disagree. GameCube version has 8-second load times, and the Xbox version is a myth. I have seen people that have the Xbox version of this game, and I have seen people that have the Xbox, but I've never seen anyone that actually has both things at once. So we don't actually know how fast or slow the Xbox is. But from the research I've done, from videos seeing people playing it, I'm assuming that Xbox is a little bit slower than GameCube, played on a Wii. So there's that. This game has no Xbox 360 profile, so you can't use that. And I don't know how fast an actual GameCube plays the game. I've only ever tested it on a Wii. So there's a research to be done, but I don't have hardware to actually look for it. As far as version differences go, there aren't too many. In the first section, oops, I'm so sorry. In the first section of the grind, the GameCube version, in the GameCube version, Gaburimon can drop the same Gaburimon can drop more than one item at once. So that's obviously good. If you get the RNG in your favor, you can get more items per Digimon. And that's, I think it's either exclusive to the GameCube version, or it doesn't happen on PS2 and does happen on Xbox. I don't really know. What else? On the PS2 version, there's sort of a manipulation that you can do with bits. Like, if you get 2 money drops within a second of each other, instead of them being completely random like they are on the GameCube version, if you're playing PS2, the second drop is gonna mirror the first one. So you can kind of use that to your advantage and manipulate drops so that if you get a very high roll on money drop, you can just get a second drop very quickly and duplicate that roll. Whereas you can't do that in GameCube version. So there's that difference. There's also another difference in that during auto-scroller sections, let's see. Yeah, during auto-scroller sections in the PS2 version, whenever the vehicle that you're riding, whether it be the train or the boat that you guys have seen, if it makes a turn, your character starts sliding in the opposite direction of that turn as soon as it ends. On the PS2 version. On the GameCube version, that does not happen. As far as differences between Japanese version and the American version, there's no PAL version for this game on GameCube, by the way. So far, I have not found anything significant, because usually the big time saves for J is that the text box, there are less text boxes to scroll through. But in this game, it remains the same. It's just that they made it so that the English version just takes more space on the text box, but the amount of text box stays the same, so you don't end up saving time from going J over American. And the other difference, so there's no time save there. And the other difference that I found so far is that colors are slightly different in the J version, as well as the intro menu being a little bit different. But outside of that, I have not found any other meaningful differences. So we might as well just play the English version and look at the items that we have and know what we're doing. But it is possible that there's a hidden super secret glitch exclusive to the J version that allows us to save time. But so far, that is not known. Also, you might have seen me lag a little bit while spamming that power down technique. I believe this is a limitation from the game engine itself, because it is really not my PC. I have a highly overclocked Skylake system with extremely fast RAM. And my GPU is also like, it doesn't matter the graphics settings that I put, it always lags while doing that. So I believe it's something related to the game engine. It doesn't matter how good or bad your PC is. Obviously you guys can see, but both my usages are pretty low, even with OBS. It doesn't matter if I'm playing, which by the way, it doesn't matter if I'm using OBS or just offline playing the game, it always lags. So there's that. It also happens on console, but the side effect of it is that on the PS2 the frame rate drops to single digit. I'm sorry, don't play the PS2 version. On the Wii, the image just gets a little bit blurry, as if there was motion blur or something. Whereas on emulator, it just it just drops frames and you can see the choppiness. So in fact, you might have seen some torches, right? Like, I killed them already, but you might have seen some torches. I destroyed those to reduce lag while spamming the technique. It's marginal, but it does help a little bit. How are you guys doing? How are you enjoying the gliding section? We still have 4 more levels to go. And to be honest, I should be getting done with it in about 2 minutes. As in, if I was not super far behind. I think 2 minutes. I don't know, I don't remember. So now you guys can finally see the cap of enemies like being hit, and so I go in and then go out, and that refreshes the cap. So long as I don't destroy the tower, it's fine, which is what happened before. This run is very good, by the way. Cap. Okay, so these are the torches. So while I'm destroying these strays right here, I'm also killing the torches to just try and reduce lag a little bit. Yeah, Dolphin does have that option, but nah. Also, feel the power of the lag. It's not your stream, it's not mine. It's the freaking game itself. Yeah, you know, that's the good thing about being a one-man community and being the only runner of this game. I can do whatever the hell I want, and no one can criticize me. Like, I'm not gonna have any sort of backlash. I mean, not from the community, because I am the community! Like, as far as this game goes, in particular, I don't know, apparently, people have tried to like route it and stuff before, but in reality, I did like everything. I didn't find most of the stuff, I just compiled all the knowledge that different people had and different videos on YouTube had into one single head, mine, and applied it in the way that could be useful for speedrun to save time. So yeah. I've already heard three different reports of people wanting to run the game, but in the end, I'm still, so far, the only runner. Which is a good thing. I mean, it's a good thing for me that I don't get the backlash. Yeah, that problem will come up sooner or later. Although the people that watch my streams, they know that they know what I do. Yeah, right now the super mods for the Digimon series, they... yeah, they do that. They separate the leaderboards. But one day, I am going to convince either K-Hertz or maybe Shadow or anyone really. I'm gonna convince them to give me mod of this game, and then I'm gonna bend the rules to my will, because then I'm gonna have unlimited power. That day has not come though. It'll come eventually. Don't worry. It'll come. Come. You say as if this game had something to do with skill. Like, you don't need skill to play this game, really. All you need is a little bit of RNG, actually a lot of RNG, to get the proper items as fast as possible. Another thing that I didn't talk about at the beginning of the run is that not only we need RNG to get the items and then being able to buy the stuff that we need, there's also another hidden RNG factor, which is the proficiency points. Having more proficiency increases your damage, and whether you get proficiency on a given hit or not is completely random. So what happens is, if you, by luck, start getting proficiency points early, you increase your damage early, and like even 1 point of damage is already like a 25% increase at the very start of the run. So if you can get more proficiency very early, by pure luck, you end up grinding faster even though you're not doing anything different. On the flip side, if it takes you a while to get proficiency going, you end up losing time because RNG. And you really don't realize it until the end. Like, you really don't notice if you're getting proficiency or not until it's already too late for you to be losing time. This is also another thing that's gonna come up here eventually, because my experience route is all messed up. Proficiency is like, I may not gain all the stuff that I need, and I might have to use some healing discs, in which case it's bad, you're losing time because RNG. Likewise, the enemies later on, they're gonna be strong enough that they can block your debuff technique. Like, you might have to try to do the debuff a bunch of different times. And if you get a debuff for strike, good, you save time. If not, you're gonna have to keep trying to debuff them until you get it, and that can waste time. So this game is mainly RNG. There's like not that much skill involved in it. There's only really one thing that can be kind of considered skill, and I'm gonna explain it at the end of the grinding section, which is the next thing that we're gonna do. And IMO is the highlight of the run. Don't blink, it's gonna take like 2 seconds. But I'm gonna explain it once we get there. Don't worry guys, there's a little bit more stuff to explain. Actually, never mind. The highlight of the run comes at the very end. If you've never seen it and have played this game. reference, I should have mentioned this already. These enemies right here have 125 points of health. So the maximum damage that we can do is 62 before triggering the invincibility knockback. If we get a critical hit, it's immediately gonna be more than they can handle, which is bad. And at this point in time, a critical hit is not strong enough to one-hit KO, so critical hits are always bad. Luckily, the chance for one is rather small. It's roughly 4% chance on every hit. And if it happens on the second hit, on the third hit, which would be the last blow, and so it doesn't matter anyway, or the second hit, in which we've already dealt enough damage for the crit to finish off the job, it doesn't really matter. But if it happens on the first hit, this is bad. A critical hit is bad. So again, RNG. RNG can just screw you over because why not, right? Levels to go. ETA is 5 minutes, question mark? Is it 5 minutes? Yeah, I think 5 minutes and we should be done. Maybe 6. Yeah, it's a lot of killing, by the way. Don't worry though. As soon as we get level 22, we're gonna finish buffing our technique, the paradigm technique. And as soon as we do that, we're gonna immediately get out of this place and move to the final area of the game. By the way, the block mechanic is a bit overpowered, if you know how to use it. It can really save you. And you can already see that our technique is getting stronger. If you notice, we are dealing like a bit more than twice our damage when they're debuffed. But don't worry, it's gonna get even stronger. Oh boy, Tyrannomon. If you kill all the Mummymons, a Tyrannomon spawns by the side. Normally it doesn't come near you, but sometimes you just move a bit too close to it, and it ends up spawning. and hunting you down. That's fine. It's just like a couple of seconds that you waste while you deal with it. Get that data. Data is a special type of currency in this game. Think of it as premium tickets or premium currency. You can use it to upgrade your chips and make them stronger. Okay. My experience route is completely screwed up. That's bad. But it's fine. We got this. I was not supposed to have that level up right there, by the way. If I knew I was gonna get it, I would have gone into the dungeon a little bit earlier to try and avoid it. Right. By the way, at level 22, we get our healing tech. But the reason why we get to level 22 is not actually the healing tech, even though it's like a very nice bonus to have. The reason why we do it is to actually allow the cap for the power down technique to be strong enough so that we can get its next level. And that cap can only be reached at level 22. I'm trying to do a reroute that skips that, but for the time being, we have to go with this. That's what we have. Oops. buffing up the technique. Supposedly this would have been done already, but because this experience shroud just got screwed, I'm gonna have to do this now. Alright. I'm gonna keep these last couple of enemies just because I can, to try and potentially get something more. Alright. And we're done with the grinding section. I think I'm roughly 20 minutes behind where I should be on PB attempts. Anyway, coming up next. The grind is over. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna sell our organs for money. Yeah, we're gonna sell our organs for money. If we get a better weapon, we are going to equip it now. Otherwise, the current one that we have, which we got at level 8, is gonna be our weapon for the rest of the game. Sell things. I'm gonna start by selling everything. And just for you guys' pleasure, I'm gonna mash as close to the microphone as possible so that you can hear some nice mashing action. Blue items in this game basically just mean that they have a stat that is stronger than what the item is supposed to have. And if that's the case, they become blue or green or other colors depending on how stronger the stat is compared to what it should have been. It's also worth a little bit more when you want to sell or buy it. Okay, so sell all the gate discs. Not gonna need them. Sell all the booster packs, we're not gonna need them. Sell all the keychains, we're not gonna need them. Buy a couple MP disc alpha. I'm gonna buy a couple of these now. I'm gonna have to buy more later, but for the time being, let's just go with this. Now, RNG. No RNG today, whatever. We're gonna be using this weapon that we have right now for the rest of the game. That's fine. Now, RNG number 2. Ooh. Nope. Okay. We didn't get particularly good RNG, that's fine, it's not really a problem. We're also gonna buy one last chip. Ice chip? Alright. And with this, we have our stuff for the rest of the run. We're not gonna buy any more items. We're only gonna replenish our stock of healing discs after each dungeon. Outside of that, we're done buying stuff. We're not gonna buy anything more. Unless I just so happen to get something. Anyway, coming up next, what you're supposed to do in a casual playthrough is that you unlock the dryland area, you do 2 dungeons and an auto-scroller there, and then you unlock Venom Jungle, and then you do 3 dungeons there, and then the final dungeon, actually the final dungeon for both of those areas, and then you unlock Machine Pit, which is the final area of the game. Now, the thing is that when you enter side quests, you are warped to that final area, and it's normally okay, because there are 2 sections of the Machine Pit, a lower and an upper one, and the side quests spawn you at the lower section, whereas you need to access the upper one to access the dungeons. So normally it's fine, you can just warp it, but it turns out that there is a double jump glitch in this game, and by getting it, it allows you to skip stuff and get to places you're not supposed to. I'm gonna try to get it, because it's a little bit difficult. The way it works is that you have to jump, and then 1 frame after you jump, you have to get hit by an enemy and trigger the auto block. So right off the bat, you're doing a frame perfect trip, that relies on RNG, and by RNG, it's like 40% in your favor. And then after that, after you get that frame perfect trick and the RNG roll, you need to get to jump 18 frames later. So let me say this again: 2 frame perfect tricks with an RNG roll in the middle. Miss any of them and you have to try again. That's the only part that's difficult in this game, really. Outside of starting it, of course. And it doesn't help that your vision is not very good. But believe me, this is gonna happen eventually. Okay, if you fail a lot of times in a row, just stop for a second, take a deep breath, try again. This is another section in which you can lose a lot of time by not getting the trick. But it saves so many hours of gameplay that it is absolutely worth it. It saves like what, 2 or 3 hours of gameplay. So it doesn't matter if you take a while to get it. It's still worth it. Come on, you're not being very friendly today, are you? Come on, double jump. Come on, double jump. Don't worry. We're not losing time here. We're just doing questionable RNG maneuvers. There we go. Took a while, but that can happen. Now we get to this upper section, which is where we would normally spawn if we had unlocked this area through normal means. Oops. And then we can press those switches and they unlock the dungeons. Alright, we did it, boys. We're through the worst double jump. Now here, we're gonna change our gear once again. Unfortunately, we can't avoid the 2-hit kill, but what can you do? We do 1 weak poke, then we do the power down, and then boom, they're dead. They didn't die there because there's a mechanic in this game in which I'm gonna explain in just a second, but as you have seen, I was dealing 80 points of damage and then I just dealt 400. So let me say this again. By picking Digimon out of the 4 possible starters, you multiply your damage by 5. Does that explain why we picked Digimon? And it also comes as a bonus that he has one of the best weapons in the game. I mean, one of the best types of weapons for speedrunning. But anyway, we cannot 1-hit kill even with that 5 times damage multiplier, so what we do instead is we do that 1 weak poke without powering them down. Gonna heal. And then we do the full hit that's gonna kill. Now the reason why they sometimes don't die is that this game has a very fun mechanic in which if you have an elemental chip equipped, and right now I have the Thunder one, your damage is basically, your damage skyrockets. It depends on the enemy as to how much, but basically assume that your damage increases by 50%. There are enemies which go upwards to 90%, and there are enemies in which it only increases 10%, but basically your damage always increases, and it increases by a lot. And that's why a weapon with mods and an elemental metal is so desirable, because you want to have that damage boost. The thing is, however, because this game is, I don't know, this game, sometimes the game will calculate damage as if it didn't have an elemental chip equipped, even though you have one. So right there, I deal 400 damage. But sometimes I deal 200 and something because it thinks that I don't have an elemental chip. I have no idea why that happens. I don't know if this is a glitch or if this is intended. I think it is intended, because I don't think developers would not have realized it. But like, sometimes it happens, and it usually wastes time. Now, if I got super lucky and had gotten a better weapon at the last shopping section, I would have a stronger weapon, and then I would be able to always get kill. Outside of, I wouldn't need the weak poke outside of doing a weak hit, but I have no control over that whatsoever. Right there, you saw enemies called Infernmons, those spider-looking thingies. They are the worst thing in existence. Because remember that I just explained how good the power down technique is, and how it multiplies our damage by 5 and stuff like that, and also decreases enemies' attacks so that we don't take as much damage? Yeah, the Infernals have the exact same technique, and they can debuff you. No. So yeah, they waste time. It's not as bad as 5 times damage reduction, but it's still super bad. And when you have, like, if you combine you not having power down, I mean, you having power down, the debuff, while they don't have their debuffs, if you combine both of them at once, you can reasonably expect to die in this section. Out of nowhere, you just die. Like, it's rare, but it's possible. Like, if you get particularly unlucky. And I've lost runs because of that. A couple of times before. Actually, plenty of times before. I killed this one enemy here, even though I don't need to, just to get rid of him, because otherwise he would show up in this next section. And, it would get annoying. This actually went... It was going pretty good until I got debuffed. It's fine though. I am rather short on cash, by the way, so that's why I'm taking the time to get items. Here you're gonna see me do a green thing? Question mark? And dash forward. It's called, officially, it's called, I think, push attack, but really we just call it block dash. Whoops, that was dangerous. Also, I forgot to buy a special item that I was supposed to. That's fine though. Also, you might have seen that I'm poisoned right now. Poison is the worst thing in existence. It absolutely sucks. And what can you say? Like, it deals so much damage. I was supposed to have bought measures against it, but I forgot. So, what can we say about it? Like, it deals so much damage and it deals so fast that you just forget about it and eventually die. coupled with the power down technique, you can really die real fast if you're not paying attention. I'm gonna not kill this. Oh boy. Remember that Infermons are pretty good? Yeah? You know? They have the same power down technique that you do. As I was saying, I'm gonna try to avoid using the power down on those enemies. The reason for that was to try and conserve my mana so that I don't have to use more healing discs and thus buy more. Coming up as a boss, by the way. But the boss is trivial, and the power of Mega Power Down is gonna become real apparent right here. That was a boss, by the way. Notice how the boss goes so much faster than fighting just 4 Infermons. Imagine if they made a boss which was just a bunch of Infermons. It would have been absolutely impossible. Right. So again, we're gonna sell everything that we picked up and the items that we unequipped from the previous gear swap. We're just gonna sell everything and buy more healing discs. The problem with Mega Power Down is that it requires an absurd amount of mana to fuel. I need 4, as many of these as I can. I'm gonna get the cure discs now that I forgot. As many of these as I can, and that's fine. Sorry. Again. So sorry, guys. Coming up is the longest dungeon of the game. This dungeon has 4 floors, each bigger than the previous one. And it also has some very nasty enemies. Fight these, just come here. These we do have to fight though. Oh. At least the very last one. Give me a 4. No. All weak hits, that's fine. Wait, that's not. We're losing time because our injury. What can you do? Destroy those crates because they're needed to trigger the next set of spawns. Don't get hit by that goo, otherwise you're gonna spend like almost a full minute stuck to the ground and not being able to move or do anything. And depending on how enemies decide to play against you, they could potentially kill you very quickly. necessary, so I'm gonna safety heal.
Let me kill you on hit, thank you. Let me kill you on hit. Nope. If the other one didn't die in one hit, it would have been fine. It wouldn't really waste time because I could just keep hitting the other one. But if the last one stays alive, what can you do? Is this the clutch moment? No, it's not. There is a very, very clutch moment, like the clutchiest of the run, coming up. On this next floor. Ice physics, because... You guys can see the ice physics, but assume that they're there. Alright, clutch is coming up. Okay. Get away from me. Alright, clutch gone. The problem of that section is you have to destroy a wall. This game has some walls that are breakable to create shortcuts. It's not always, but they exist in a couple of places. And the fastest way to navigate through this dungeon is through using that wall. The thing is, you can't really see what you're doing. So you have to kind of guess where the wall is. And that's obviously not very fun. Then the other problem is you're fighting, like, you're doing so while trying to juggle between getting hit by Infermon and Raremon, which are the two worst enemies in the game, together. So, like, it's completely awful. You can very easily get stuck there and lose time, or even die. It's not all that common for you to get wrecked, but when it does get, when they do get you, it's absolutely awful. By the way, remember the first boss of the run that we did? Yeah, we're fighting 5 of them again, because I guess they ran out of budget for enemies, and then... Oh boy. I hit them while they were invincible, and by doing so, now I'm stuck. Oh my god! Again! Okay, I could very seriously die. I don't want to check the map. Thank you, game. Raremons are the worst thing ever, along with Infermons. So yeah, free time lost, by the way. Oh, I forgot. Glitch cycles. Sometimes the cycle stays up for longer than it should. Alright, so say hello to our little friend, the choo-choo train. It's gonna be following us throughout the rest of the dungeon. Each time you see train tracks, know that at any moment a train can spawn and hit us. You can get past that enemy by jumping if you're precise on your inputs. I wasn't. Down, never mind. There's a further a later section in which you kill. You fight the same group of enemies, but instead of going down, you go right. There's the choo-choo train. Luckily, you can block it. You just have to be sharp on to know when to do it. Again, that corner jump. Again, that corner jump. Nice. I got 2 of them. That's a bit rare. I usually fail both of them in this section. Actually, I usually get the other one that I missed and fail these 2. So I guess it was a nice trade-off. Whoops. I'm out of healing discs. And by healing I mean like HP healing discs. I still have mana though, and if you don't have an HP disc, the game automatically uses your heal technique instead. So I can still recover HP, it's just not the way that I would want it. This last one manually instead of using the power down. Try to save a little bit of mana. Right. Ice physics and enemies at the same time. Let's go, gimmicks. Hello Lonely, yes, there's a PS2 version for this game, but we're playing the GameCube on Dolphin emulator right now. We're not playing the PS2 version. The PS2 version has 25-second load times, whereas GameCube on a Wii has 8, and on emulator, which is what I'm using, has 6. So you can definitely see, over the course of the 90 or so loads, actually more because this run I did non-optimal strats, how much time it's gonna save. I'm gonna queue these guys first. Normally they just fall to me. I'm not supposed to fight all of these at once, but yes, I'm playing this on Dolphin emulator. Fine allowed. It is faster and does the times go hidden by default, but because I'm literally the only guy playing this game, I'm the only one that came up with strats, I do whatever the hell I want in my own stream. And people that see this game, over time they just got used to it. So far, no one in the community has actually complained and said, you know what, I'm not gonna watch this, so I guess it's fine. It's like the advantages of being a one-man community. You kind of have the freedom to do things how you want to do them and not be criticized. Like, I guess no one is forced to agree with me, and in fact most people don't. But that's how I see things. If emulator is faster, run emulator. Now don't get me wrong, if console is faster, there's some stuff, for example, Wii U Virtual Console. It runs even faster than emulator could, so then let's run Wii U Virtual Console. It's faster, obviously. But I guess you weren't here in the chat earlier, but we've gone over our opinions on that. Also, don't worry, the run is invalid. Anyway, the run is very bad. Okay. Remember the last boss from the last dungeon? Yeah, now it's a regular enemy. They recycle a lot of things in this game. Do I need the... Yep, the stream definitely needs more Jon Snow. Next time I pause, you guys are gonna be able to see the name. Choo-choo train! Let's go! That's me every time. No, I'm not from Scandinavia. If you want to play a guessing game from where I am, I'm gonna give you a couple of minutes before I say it. Or you could just look it up. But if you want to try to guess, be my guest. Nope, not Germany. You're probably gonna miss if you keep trying to guess countries from Europe. Actually, not only you're probably gonna miss, I'm 100% sure you're gonna miss because I'm not from Europe. That's not good. Yes, good guess, Shadow. Capital. Nice guess. Although some people do say that Brazil is in Europe. Oh no, I missed. Okay. So, there's this platform that's on a cycle, and I barely missed it by a second. So yeah. Yeah, I am from Brazil. Charge attack, the fastest way to pass by that guy. You don't have to fight him, you just have to get rid of him. Like... I should probably explain, when these guys have those barriers up, they cannot be hit. If you try to hit them, the damage bounces back to you instead. So the way that you break those barriers, you can either just wait and eventually they're gonna run out. You can either get like really close to them and it makes it more likely for them to break free of the barriers, or you can do what I do, and if you attack from the back, the barrier immediately shatters and you are able to deal damage on the attack that shatters the barrier. So that's how you're supposed to do that. Yes, Brazil. I am from Brazil. Normally you can get past that guy immediately, but sometimes he does that and you get stuck. That's fine. This is a reaction game, this particular enemy, because you have to attack and be ready to block immediately if you don't want to lose health. Otherwise, it's just gonna hit. Now, conveniently, we get a mana refuel here, and we missed another cycle by 2 seconds, whatever. Don't worry guys, the time loss is coming. Those enemies might be following me, and if they are, they could potentially snipe me while I'm on the platform. Let's hope that doesn't happen. It happened once. And it was super duper bad. I freaked out. They almost killed me. Please don't snipe me. Good. And we also get a health refill. Now coming up as a boss, this boss usually wastes time. One other problem that this boss has is that it has poison properties. It kind of locked me there. I could not run away. It's also a very quick boss. Its poison is nowhere near as strong as the one from the rare mods, so that's good. When it does its punch attack, it's completely invincible to damage, so you kind of have to wait. Stop using the punch attack! Stop using the punch attack. Have I ever told you guys that this boss is absolutely bad? It usually wastes a lot of time. It can waste more. I've had worse fights, but you can definitely do it much faster if RNG is on your side. As always, you have multiple RNGs at play. You have the RNG of getting your debuff, you have the RNG of him not attacking, you have the RNG of him moving in good patterns, and you have the RNG of your attacks actually landing on it and dealing like proper amounts of damage. Okay, so right here, I'm gonna do a trick. No. I'm gonna do a trick. Exchange weapon unit, shot pistol. I'm gonna purposefully equip the shot pistol, which is much weaker than the weapon that we currently have, and doing so causes the shot to show more items. For the likelihood of mods to show up to increase. Now we don't strictly need it, but I'm gonna do one last check. To see if we get something good, because if we do, we could potentially want to equip a better weapon and potentially have an easier time getting the quick kill on the final boss. Don't think this is going to be the case though. Yeah, this is not going to be the case. I'm not going to have enough money. Do I want to look? No, I don't want to look. Okay. Never mind. It was a waste of time. I was YOLOing and assuming that... Ooh, never mind. I have to go back and buy some more stuff. I think I was forgetting something. I was gonna YOLO having a weapon with mods that I could sell and thus get a lot of money, but didn't happen. Oh well. I'm gonna use the rest of my money to buy a couple of cure discs because the final boss can poison us, and I'm also gonna buy a couple HP discs that we can use to refill our health instead of having to use mana. They're not as effective as using mana, but because there's a limit on how many items we can carry, which is 9, we don't really have a way to get more mana discs. Otherwise we would do that instead. But anyway, this is the final stretch of the run. We got the 2 keys. Now we're gonna move on to the final quote-unquote dungeon, which is actually not really a dungeon. It's a series of areas that are gonna lead to the final boss. And you guys remember how it was super fun to do the double jump? Yeah, we're gonna have to do it again. Let's hope that this time it goes a little bit faster. Not good. Do I have the right experience point? Yes, I do. This is an easier double jump because you have more vision, but you have to kind of set it up in the sense of there being lots of enemies at once that are gonna follow you and potentially mess you up. Like right now, I'm losing more health than I was supposed to because I have the power down technique on one of those Infermons. That looked like it could have been a double jump, but it wasn't. Alright, come on, double jump. That looked like another double jump, but that's fine. There we go. Final double jump done. Absolutely awful, don't worry guys. Okay, so final area of the game. This is not an auto-scroller. It's a rocket, but it's not an auto-scroller, don't worry. It's just a cutscene. Gives me like a couple of seconds to drink some water. And now comes the puzzle. Basically, The entrance to the next area is locked, and to unlock it, you need to flip switches, and you must flip three blue switches, which are these ones, and one red switch. The thing about it is, not only you have to flip those switches, you also have to climb your way up. And flipping those raises and lowers platforms for you to get access to the higher levels. So the puzzle is just trying to figure out how to do this. Like, casually you're probably going to be spending 20 minutes here or look up a guide. It's like, it's not obvious at all. And you don't even know the answer for the puzzle. Oh jeez. You don't even know the answer for the puzzle unless you look up a guide. You either randomly like stumble across the answer or look it up. And you guys can bet what I did. Quick tip here, try to jump and cut corners as much as possible. Like, I guess this goes for the entire game, but it's particularly important here because you really don't have anything else to do. You just walk a lot in this area. Yeah, this game looks like not many people worked on it. Yes. In fact, if it wasn't for the fact that it was using models known to the Digimon franchise, such as like the Digimons themselves, it could have been a completely random game with no relation to the series whatsoever. Like, it's really a random game that they either, I don't know if it was like, okay, we need to sell this game, put Digimon paint on it, or it was the other way around. It was like, okay, we need a Digimon game, put this paint on this one game that they're developing and call it a day. I don't know which was the order that happened, but it was clearly not designed from the ground up to be a Digimon game. I still find it quite fun though, and that's why I play it. That's why I speedrun them. Yeah, maybe. Okay, so right here, if I go too far in, more enemies are gonna spawn. So instead, I'm gonna come here and take these enemies slowly. Alright, I am also supposed to change this for this, but I forgot. Yeah, this game has a lot of flaws. It had the potential to be a great game, but it turned out not that good. I mean, I obviously still like it, but... There's no power down? Can we do this no power down? Okay, no power down here, that's good. Okay, never mind. Should have kept my mouth shut. Now it's too late. I should also mention, we do have the power up technique as well as the power down. This is a side effect from leveling it up. Eventually we do learn the power up. Now these enemies are being particularly mean. Alright. And by the way, this last section is pretty much this, up until final boss. You kill a couple of enemies, you move right, press a button. You kill more enemies, these Imperial Dramons, and then rinse and repeat. Can I do this power down? Can I do this power down? Yes. Now you have to lure the Imperial Dramons here, because if you stand on the lower platform, your power down cannot hit them. So you have to lure them, so that you can kill them as fast as possible. Oh boy. This is bad. If you see the power down and you don't see your own power up, or enemies being powered down as well, you're in risk of danger. You're in risk of dying. You might also see me picking up a couple of items, even though we're never gonna go to the base and actually use them. It's just in case I die. If I die, I want to have a backup plan as far as things that I can sell, so that I can finish the run. That's like the reason why I'm picking up items. Remember, when you die in this game, you lose all your money. Infirmons are your top priority as far as stuff that you should kill. Obviously they can debuff you, but they can also multiply themselves. And you don't really want to do that, like let that happen. Heal, because it makes you confident. Okay, we're doing it the other way. Please die, thank you. Dead. Can we do this power downless? Do this power downless? Yes. Close. get that item, just for safety, just in case. I call this section Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V, because it's pretty much what it is. They just copy-paste same enemies. Like, they did the one thing and then copy-paste it. I should probably not use my empty disc because I'm about to get a level up and thus... I knew it! God damn it. That was a waste of a hidden disc. I knew it. See guys, I know what I'm doing. I just don't know what I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing. Die! Please! Thank you. Now I gotta level up earlier than I was supposed to, that's fine. I'm gonna kill these guys without using the power down because I want to conserve my mana for the final boss. I want to have as much of it as possible. Nice, HP disc. The last mana disc. Alright, final boss time. There's a quick kill in which you can skip its gimmick and its phases. And if I get it, good. If I don't, oh well. I'm gonna explain how this boss works. For now, I'm just gonna pray and hope that I get it. Please. Not a good start. Okay. Hope is not lost. Hope is lost. Okay. If you do it fast enough, you can kill him before he does anything, really. But it didn't happen. So the gimmick of this fight is that the boss creates clones of itself. And then you have to fight the boss plus his clones. Good gimmick. Good gimmick. Empty disc. There's also another thing. If you kill the boss first and then kill the clones later, it just warps itself to another clone's body, and then basically the boss is now at full HP again. Actually, it's not true because its HP gets lower as you go, but like you get the point. One power down and you're dead. Okay, the fight was kind of good. Yes, I didn't get the quick kill, but for non-quick kill standard, it was a pretty fast fight. It usually takes me a lot longer. Like, the other problem with this is that if you take too long to kill him after you kill the clones, it just spawns more clones endlessly. So, like, this fight can take a while if it goes really bad, but it was really good. Outside of the lack of quick kills. Anyway, second phase, we're gonna swap our Thunder Metal for the Ice Metal. The previous phase was weak to Thunder, that's why we kept using it. This one is weak to Darkness, Ice. Now that wave poisons you and you can block it, but I would rather not risk it. While he's charging the wave, he's invulnerable, so don't waste time trying to power it down. Now I'm gonna block because I want to stay as close as possible to deal as much damage as fast as possible. I don't want to waste time going back and forth. Okay, this wave is very deceptive on insect box, by the way. Sometimes this happens. Also, if you spend too long, the boss will start healing health back. Without hitting it, that is. So far, it was a good start of the fight. Oops, I pressed the wrong button, that's fine. One more hit and it's over. There we go. Okay, I've had faster fights, but this wasn't bad at all. This was also pretty good. Now, the final boss. If you've ever played this game, you know that the final boss is a very big problem. It's extremely unfair. The guy recommends you to be 35. In reality, people beat this boss at 40 because it's so fucking difficult. Sorry for the swearing. But it turns out that even though we're level 24, we do have a manip for its AI. So we're gonna come here, and we're gonna enjoy it. We're also gonna swap our equipment. Once again, for the last time, we're gonna put the dark metal because the final boss is weak to the power of darkness, because it makes a lot of sense, right? So yeah, I'm gonna let you guys watch the AI manip, and I'm gonna stay silent and I'm gonna explain it a little bit later. So, enjoying the manip? Very riveting fight. Exciting, isn't it? Okay, so the way that it works is that normally it has a bunch more attacks than these, but he's programmed in a way that he's only ever going to start moving around and using its actually dangerous attacks if you hit him while he's in the middle of this lightning attack right here. So as long as you wait for him to stomp the ground like with his two hands and don't attack while it's in the middle of the lightning, he's gonna stay locked in this position. His quote-unquote next phase, which is in reality like what normally happens, is never gonna trigger. And if like it's not gonna trigger, then you can just stay in this part right here and his attacks cannot hit you. You're in between his attack hitbox and his actual body hitbox. So like, that's pretty much it. Like, you cannot lose this fight at all, unless you mess up the manip. If you mess up the manip, like, flip out because you're gonna die. And that was time, by the way. Yeah. Welcome to Digimon 4. I hope you guys have enjoyed the really bad run. If you want to see some actual speed runs, I'm not gonna say watch my stream because it's been a while since I've run this thing. But yeah, watch my videos. If you want to go for SDA timing, SDA in 2018, it happens at credits, but come on, you cannot just miss this warp zone right here and miss the credits, right? It's absolutely impossible to lose time. But yeah, credits are gonna start rolling up now, and that's all I have to say about this game. Enjoy the music.